guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about my summer TBR, and most people probably know what this is, but just in case people don't know what a TBR is basically a to be read list. I want to start with the books that I already physically have. Firstly, we have Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov, or Nabokov, I don't know. And this is obviously considered a classic book. It has had major influence on pop culture, for better and for worse. But I want to talk about the blurb on the back of this book because I'm going to be reading the blurbs for these, I think. And this thing on the back of the book really irritates me and really makes me angry because I don't think that, from my understanding, I haven't read it yet, I don't think this is an accurate reflection of what was intended with the book. So, awe and exhilaration, along with heartbreak and mordant wit. I'm not sure how to pronounce that because I've only ever read it and not spoken it, but mordant, and mordant wit abound in Lolita, Vladimir Nabokov's most famous and controversial novel, which tells the story of the aging Humbert Humbert's obsessive, devouring, and doomed passion for the nymphette Dolores Hayes. Most of all, it is a meditation on love. Love is outrage and hallucination, madness and transformation. That made me so pissed because, number one, why would they refer to Dolores as the nymphette Dolores Hayes, as if she chose to be a nymphette, as if she actually is one, as if nymphette is something that actually even exists and is not the twisted conception of the mind of a pervert of projecting his sexual desires onto a child and ascribing her some kind of intent in evoking those desires. Do not play with me right now, okay? And I think I had heard somewhere that Nabokov never really intended for there to ever be a girl on the cover of the book. This could be an urban legend, but of course they did that anyway, regardless of what his wishes are. This cover is less egregious than some of the other ones I've seen, but to call her the nymphette Dolores Hayes, and love is outrage and hallucination, madness and transformation. Would you even call what's happening in this book love? Because I wouldn't. To me, it's taking you into the mind of somebody who is horribly perverted, and I think you're supposed to read between the lines and understand the subtext of what Dolores is really feeling in these moments, as opposed to just taking his freaking word for it, because he's an unreliable narrator, which is the point. And according to the back as well, this book was first published in September of 1955. So I'm wondering if in 1955, if there was much discussion about pedophilia and men who prey on women and men who, or not even women, sorry, men who prey on young girls and will try to get closer to the wife in order to have access to children. I don't know if that was a popular dialogue in 1955, but I would venture that it was not a super commonplace thing to talk about, because even up until the 1970s, my mom, when she was born, she was allowed to walk to and from the park by herself as a toddler. So this awareness of the danger that men pose to society, and especially the grooming element in Lolita, I don't think that was as public of a conversation. I more so see this as him bringing a horrifying reality to light, more than I see it as the madness of love. Girl, do you think that Dolores was feeling love, or do you think that she was horribly confused? Because she's literally a young girl, not a nymphette, okay? Let's check the hard drive of who wrote this blurb. The only convincing love story of our century, Vanity Fair. Oh my God. It's a love story from his perspective, but it isn't actually. And I feel like that should be more, I'm not saying that things have to be spelled out for everybody, but to an extent, there has to be at least a hint of the sinister truth of this book in the way that we are putting the blurb on the back, in the way that we are saying the only convincing love story of our century. That makes it seem and sound like it's something mutual, when in reality, it can't be. Let's get the FBI on this Vanity Fair writer too. Let's check their hard drives, flash drives, computer, camera roll. Let's have a look at that as well. Now that I got that off my conscience, off my spirit, the next book is Sex and Rage by Eve Babitz, and I will read the back. The popular resurgence of Eve Babitz continues with this very special reissue of her novel, originally published in 1979, about a dreamy young girl moving between Los Angeles and New York City. Sex and Rage delights in its sensuous, dreamlike narrative and its spontaneous embrace of fate and work, and further solidifies Eve Babitz's place as a singularly important voice in Los Angeles literature, haunting, alluring, and alive. I know that Eve Babitz has several books. Like, I think there's one called Black Swan. Is that what the movie's based on? I'm gonna have to check this, but I know that she's written a lot, and I chose to start with this because at least to me it seemed like the most approachable. It seemed like a good place to start, and obviously if I like this, I will read her other things, her other works. I've been in a reading slump, so I've been reading the unabridged journals of Sylvia Plath for like months and months and months. I'm starting to like get back into the swing of things, but this happens to me literally every year. For some reason, between like Christmas time until like April-ish, every single year, I like cannot read. Well, what is that about? Does anybody else have that specific in that time period? It's super weird. And also with like the Los Angeles element, I would really like to visit California. I went one time to go to Disneyland and I became so violently ill that I could not even enjoy Disneyland. So needless to say, I didn't really get to see much of the California sights. But I'm very interested in going there and observing some of the like historical things that are so key to our popular culture here in America and all over the world, because Hollywood really has a global impact, especially in the past, even more than it does now. The next two books go together because it is part of a series. It's actually part of a trilogy. I need to get the third book. It is the novel adaptation of Ty West's. Saying West is literally infuriating. Like, we need a better solution in English for how to say things like that. But yeah, the X trilogy. Obviously, the first book is X, and the second one is Pearl. I don't know when it comes to these if it makes more sense to read Pearl first or if it makes sense to read X first. Because obviously the movies came out in the order of X, Pearl, and Maxine. I still need to get the Maxine one because at the time that I got these, the Maxine one wasn't out yet. My friend actually got these for me. And these are pretty short books. Like, these are like not even 200 pages. I'm assuming that I should read them in the order that the movies came out because they probably would have been intended to be read that way. This is the back on this one. I'm not really gonna read it out because if you guys have seen the movies, then you already understand, like, it's literally basically the movie in novel format. And this is like something that I really just wanted to have on my shelf. Obviously I'm gonna read them, but I love the X trilogy. I was super excited when Maxine came out last year. But now for books that I'm thinking of adding to my TBR, but that I do not currently have in my possession, I haven't bought them yet. I'm thinking Loving Sylvia Plath, which is basically kind of like an assessment of the way that people have interpreted her work and also talking about her life and like seeing it through new eyes. Like from what I understand, from what I saw like on Goodreads and from the synopsis, like people were talking about how it really kind of goes into the fact that her relationship with her husband was like most likely actually abusive, when some people had interpreted it as not abusive and that it was just a toxic relationship. So this is kind of trying to put a modern view and like actually give the facts of like who Sylvia was, what she was going through. And considering I'm reading her journals right now, I think that would be a great like next step. Then I saw this other book called The God of the Woods, and I was really drawn in by the cover. And I honestly can't tell if I'm gonna get this or not, because the concept is basically that this girl goes missing from a summer camp, and I think a relative of hers also went missing from the same summer camp years before. So now it's like a mystery to try to find her. It's supposed to be adult and not YA, but fun fact, a lot of adult is now written like YA, which is very disgusting to me and I do not like it at all. It's like if I'm gonna read a YA book, let it be a YA book. If I'm going to read an adult book, like for adult age people, let it be written like an adult book. I mean, come on. Like, I'm not opposed to reading certain YA books because it can be like a nice wholesome thing, right? But when you're writing adult books in a YA style, it immediately puts me off because that's not what I'm wanting or expecting from this more adult concept. So it seems interesting, but if I buy it and it like is not good, that will be very infuriating to me. So I don't know. If any of you guys have read The God of the Woods, tell me if you felt like it was good or if you feel like it's worth it for me to check it out. I'm not one of those people who's very into the tropification of literature. I'm not really buying my books based on that like prescriptive enemies to lovers, forced proximity. Like, dude, I'm not necessarily hating on you if you like reading those. I am more so hating on their absolute dominance and prevalence over the world of like writing right now. And people can say that's not true. When I go to Barnes & Noble, I am borderline like assaulted in the eyes with 4 trillion different fucking romance cartoon book covers that are all like breaking the ice, of Ice and Fire, of Petal and Briar, 3 things I hate about you, and also It's All's Well by Taylor Swift. Like rewritings of like old rom-coms and then like Taylor Swift inspired one. I'm like, okay, literally no tea, no shade if you like those things. However, all the shade to the absolute like oppressive nature and vast quantity of these books when I go into a bookstore. Please, bro, please, can we have something else? I can be into trendy books, like books that you would consider femcel or girl blogger-esque or something, but a lot of those like actually pull from existing books and existing classics. Lolita would probably be considered one of those books that would be included in that. The Bell Jar would be one of those books that would be included in that as being on trend, but they came out years and years and years before this culture of different books determining your personality was even determined. So yeah, that's my TBR. That's where my head is at right now. I might add more things to it, but this is what I'm starting from. If you guys want more like book reviews or like reading content from me, let me know because I can definitely do that. If you enjoyed, comment a book emoji and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.